JD Fortune getting set to rock in excess at the Rock 95 birthday bash. This is happening. You're coming back to Simcoe County. How's it feel?
Can't wait to get there, bro. Like that was the last. That was too bad when I was up there last. I didn't get a chance to go down to Barrie and hang out there. I love Barrie. I did my land basic. I was in the base out there for a little while in the military, so it was a great town. I love it. Love it. Just absolutely love it.
How long did the military thing happen? Obviously, didn't take hold long term, but what was that window
Oh no,
like?
I went in, yeah, I was just for a couple of years, and I was young, and it was like my grandfather was on his literally on his deathbed, and he's like, it's too bad nobody continued on the military tradition in our family, because he was a soldier in World War II, and I went down and I recruited in Hamilton, and uh, you know, kind of teary-eyed, like, I'll do it for you, Pop, and he made a full recovery about a month later, and then I got a phone call, and they're like, you still want to join? And I was like, okay. But greatest experience of my life. I highly recommend if you thought you knew what discipline was, try going through basic training. Oh, it's crazy.
Well, I wanted to pick your brain about the unique nature of the Rock 95 birthday bash. With your years
Yeah.
with INXS, and traveling the world and doing all sorts of different festivals, concerts, and venues. Did you do a lot of corporate or private or anything comparable to this while with INXS?
Oh yeah, we did a few corporate things, which is always, corporate's always when it's true 100% corporate, it's can be hit or miss because, you're invited by the person that wants you there, and that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody there is a fan or whatever. So you make do and you go through it. I feel badly more for like stand-up comics who have to do corporate gigs because it's just them with a microphone. And if you don't think that person's funny, you know, there's nothing like you just said at the beginning of the interview, there's nothing lonelier than being the only person in a Zoom meeting. I'll tell you what's close though is like finishing a set or finishing a song and like, there's 1,000 people there, but it's only like 80 of them that go, all right, yeah, great. I've done some cool stuff. I got to play Richard Branson's birthday a couple times, which was amazing. He's a gentleman, and that was a lot of fun because it was advertised as us going to be there, and Excess was going to be there, and just everyone was ready for a good night of rock and roll. That's the difference. Like if it's a corporate event and everybody is into it, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, this Rock 95 birthday bash will be thousands of music fans, listeners. But I wanted to ask how you might change your approach because there are going to be people, obviously, in excess, a legendary band bringing people together. But there's going to be people there for the Glorious Sons. There'll be people there specifically to try to win one of the $100,000 in prizes, and people just there for the party. Do you change your approach, or how do you when it comes to a gig where that's the environment?
Well, I always look at it like, the Jim Morrison philosophy. You never know when it's going to be your last performance. So whether it's two people or 20,000, it's the same show I put into. I just love what I do. Like I'm so blessed to be able to do this, especially now later on. It's been 19 years since I won that show, and it's just been a great experience reconnecting with all the hits and getting to work with different band members and some of their interpretations of the music, as you know. And I'm a huge fan of the Glorious Sons. I'm a huge fan of you and your station, as you know. And so I think you put together a perfect storm there, my friend. I think it's going to be one of those nights that people will be talking about for the next 5 to 10 years, maybe. You never know.
Well, we're very excited for Hurricane JD Fortune to come blow in from the East Coast, if you will.
Tempest is coming, bud.
Tell me about that anniversary. It was just last week, the anniversary of winning Rockstar in Excess, and a lot roller coaster wise has happened since then. Do you feel that that was so long ago? Do you feel that, oh, it seems like yesterday? Can you even describe the emotions of the roller coaster in that time?
It's a bit of both, to be honest with you. Some days it's like it just happened yesterday, and then there was so much. We did so much. We played hundreds and hundreds of gigs together that it's a bit of a cliche in rock, especially when you're on tour like that. But someone's like, "Hey, how was Texas?" And you're like, "The airport was great. I went from the airport to the hotel to the stage, back to the hotel, back to the airport, and then flew to California." It was like that kind of thing. So the times that we had a chance to maybe get 3 or 4 days off in a place, I would always go out of my way to like make sure I walked around, make sure I took in whatever sites I could. And sometimes you're fortunate enough to play a place like Mexico where you're the venue's right on the beach, and it's kids at spring break, and there's 12,000 screaming drunk teenagers, which was amazing. And you remember those kind of nights, but like, we played Detroit a couple times, played Seattle a couple times, and it gets it's not monotony. It's more like your brain, you have a job to do. You really have a job to do, and you can't afford to like let yourself enjoy too much of the, accoutrement of whatever it is to be a rock star. Like you're not riding around a limousine till 4 in the morning with, strippers thinking you're hot shit. You're actually trying to get to bed as early as possible because there's meet and greets, there's radio station, there's interviews, there's you might have to sing live on air at 9 o'clock in the morning and you have a show 9 o'clock that night. So you've got 12 hours of constantly talking, constantly just, trying to be in the moment. And then you get to stage and you're like, I'm bloody exhausted, man. So you need to be, you need to take care of yourself and be in as the best shape you can possibly be in. And sometimes that's difficult to do. I was a vegetarian at the time, and so that was a little hard because, we were going to like these really great countries like in South America where, Argentina is known for its beef and, they're all having these amazing dinners and everyone, and I'm like having salad and like a croissant with with butter on it, for my dinner. And it was interesting, man. It was really interesting. So it's a bit of both. Like I said, sometimes it can be like a real fast sizzle, and you're like, holy shit, we just did 14 shows in the last 20 days. And then it can be like, oh my God, we still have three more shows to go before, and and that's when, that's when you need to like, and my theory is buckle down even harder, hit that last show like it's your first one. I mean, at one point we were doing three shows on, a day off, three shows on. So that's like you're singing 6 out of 7 days out of the week. And then there are travel days in between there. So, if you're out till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock every morning, you're not going to have a voice left, let alone be able to, perform in front of 10 or 20,000 people.
Well, you've been out of the game doing the family thing on the East Coast back in Nova Scotia, and now the JD Fortune Rock and INXS experience is making its way into the zeitgeist, into the universe. How's the preparation been? What kind of physical regimen are you undertaking? What are you doing to get ready? My flag.
There it is. There it is. Represent Nova Scotia. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Just started running again, started working out again about 3 months ago. And I realized after the Collingwood show that I needed to do a lot more to get myself back to where I felt comfortable, just physically being on stage for a 90-minute plus show and having some of those songs are pretty high charged. And I wish, I was in better shape, but that's on me. So that as soon as that show was done, I was like, all right, time to start doing it. So it's time to start taking care of everything again and treating it like almost like you're a professional athlete, like, a hockey player going from town to town. You got to stay hydrated. You got to keep working. You got to keep stretching. Length is strength. I used to have a trainer years ago, but I wrote down everything he ever told me. So I found that book and I was like, let's go through this and just start this slow process. And, when I started running, I could maybe make it like a kilometer. And now I'm doing like 5, 6K at a time. And then that's my, that'll be like a cardio day. Then I'll hit weights and stuff, but mostly just mentally preparing myself because let's face it, like the Glorious Sons are a kick-ass band. They're a great band. And I'm just honored to be on the same bill, but in no way am I letting my standards slip. So I'm glad that I'm really grateful that you're having us on this. And especially it's going to feel great to just be in front of a good rock crowd, like a really solid rock crowd, that's amazing. So thank you guys.
Well, we're very much looking forward to the night and its prizes. It's the three acts and the authentic In Excess experience with your time as the lead singer. I wanted to take you back to that bubble and how much, because this is something we've never talked about before. How much direction, advice, tete-to-tete conversation was there about the balance? Okay, we got to make these songs your own, but we have to honor Michael Hutchence and that spirit. What kind of
Yep.
conscious effort went into that balance?
Well, from the get-go, we realized, this is it's not a tribute band because, was officially a band member. So we couldn't approach it, any other way except, me sort of kind of letting control go and not being like, this has to be just like this. Because as soon as you do that, you're gonna start pissing other guys off. And these guys are very creative people. I think I've chosen some of the best musicians that I can find in Canada, and and I'm grateful to have them on board. But at the same time, I would be expecting a lot from me if I were them, and so it's a sort of mutually assured destruction if we don't do it the proper way, right? I've seen some INXS tribute acts, and it's being in the band, it's kind of weird to see a guy dressed as Kirk Pangilly or dressed as Gary Beers or dressed as Tim Ferriss, and then it's especially a little awkward to see a guy pretending to be Michael Hutchence, and I know that's ironic for me to say because I wasn't, I did some Legends work in Vegas. I did Buddy Holly, Elvis, Dwight Yoakam, Richie Valens, so I understand that. But those were only like 8 to 15 minute sets of and there's multiple acts and stuff. When it's a whole night, and don't get me wrong, some of them are very good. They're very good at what they do. But there's just for me watching it, there was just a longing, like I want to feel more connected to this music. So me being able to write with the band on the Switch album, and writing their, co-writing their highest debut single ever, Pretty Vegas, along with that smash hit with Desmond Child and Andrew Ferris, Afterglow, puts it into a different category because I'm performing those songs. I think I did 4 songs from Switch, Devil's Party, blah, 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 but it puts it into a different category. And that's what I'm grateful for, is not having to, change too much of the music because it's perfect. That's why I wanted to join the band. I loved that band growing up. I had the posters on my wall. And then one day I was in the band. So for me, it's all about respecting Michael's legacy, respecting the approach to it. It'd be something like if you did like Devil Inside, or one of those Devil Inside, like what the frig is going on here, man? This is my interpretation of that song, So I just want to keep it as uh, respectful and as cohesive to what a fan will want. And I think doing that, and hey man, I sing my guts out. Whether the performance is like perfect or not, I'm trying my best and I'm trying my hardest. And I think that comes out of me on stage. And I think that's what the original band members had too, because these guys just wanted to play that music. Like, I don't think the guys really are into, with most original bands, they're not really into doing a lot of covers unless they're classic covers and stuff like that. And I totally get that. And so it's the same situation here. I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly. And there's no replacing Michael Hutchence. I was just curious about the band when you were with INXS and the legacy members, what kind of directive they gave. Like, mate, let's make these, that's my terrible accent. Let's make these
On
uh
your night. On your
these your own, or like what is their direction to, like, Michael did it this way? Like, what was that balance
No, they
of?
never really. In fact, I wish, like, one of the songs I've been singing wrong for the whole time I was in there. I just remembered some of the lyrics, but you know, just the melodies, I was just, in my head, I went, oh, this is how it goes. And then for this endeavor now, I was going back and listening to some of the originals and the way I did them with INXS as well. And I'm like, oh, damn, I'm not even singing it the same way. So um, it was interesting. They never said, in fact, they were like, hey, man, I was leading that band. And when you're the lead, the front guy, you're it's like a, a triangle moving forward. There's a spearhead, and then it kind of goes back like this, and you've got your support, your heart and your lungs, and then you've got everything else, in front. And I think they were smart enough that they knew that I was, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own ass here, but like they knew I could handle the body of work. Like I had to learn like 33 songs in a very short period of time. So there's not a lot of, if you want it to be this, you can't stop on one song and say, now he did it like that. So you're going to have to learn to do it like that. Or not. But at the
Right.
end of the day, it's a loud stadium and no one's going to pick up on if that little thing was. So it's all about not controlling the music. When you stop trying to control it and just play, the song, the songs live through you. You can't try to live through the songs. They have to come out of you, and eventually the songs are leading you. So even now, like, if we've had some rehearsals and stuff, and we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. If something's working, don't say no, that's not the way it goes. You have to be, like INXS was, you have to be gracious enough, smart enough, and actually have faith in your talent enough to know that if that guy wants to try something, as long as it lands back on the beat that we want to be on, okay. Um, you know, um, no sense in saying, well, he does a paradiddle there, so you need to do a paradiddle there, or there's a boom chaka boom right there. I mean, if it feels good and it's moving, don't try to throw everybody off. And then, people are like, wow, okay, so let's get real down into it and let's spend an hour trying to figure out this one little part. No, just let it fly and it'll come together and gel. And if you have faith in your instrument and you have faith in your band members, for me, it's always worked out. So I'm very lucky.
It's such a fascinating thing to hear that process play out. I get two more questions for you. One is, you ask a musician about favorite songs, it's like asking them to name their favorite child. But with your unique perspective of you were a fan, so you must have had your favorite INXS songs versus
Oh yeah.
other. When you came into the band, is there any particular INXS track that you're most proud of that you're like, I feel the way I did that one. Is there one that
Oh,
above all, you're like, my
oh
version of
yeah.
that,
Like
I feel it.
as far as like delivering to an excess,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd have to say when we played the Olympic Games, 2010 in Vancouver, there's we did What You Need, and I felt not only was that like a super strong performance, but probably the strongest I'd ever, out of any of the songs had performed, because at that time, I'd been in the band for about 4 years at that point, or whatever it was, 5 years. And um and we had a hiatus of about 3 weeks before the show. And instead of trying to learn the songs, I just put our set list on a playlist in the background. And I just started absorbing it again in a new way, not looking at it like, oh geez, I just got asked to be in the band and I just have to do this. It was more like, oh, let's take a second now and let's listen to the originals. And then I would put on us live and whatever. And so that night, for any of your listeners, there's a couple cell phone versions and there's whatever, but vocally, I think I smashed it out of the friggin' park, for What You Need. And even that night, the band was like, I got one of the biggest compliments from the management and from the band. And they said, you know, a few of these songs, that's the best we've ever played them as a band. And I
Oh,
went, fucking yes, because that's what you want to hear. You want everyone to feel like they've given their best, and in doing so, they've produced something that, no one can take from you. No one can look at that and be like, yeah, whatever, guy. You know what I mean? And that's not happening, because that is just, it's some powerful stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. And I think, um, I really loved singing, uh, uh, Never Tear Us Apart and Need You Tonight are in those for me, because they're just so iconic. You know what I mean? That da 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 da, uh 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 da 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 da. So as an answer to earlier, like, look at that girl who did she used that riff. Bum, 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 doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And that's something you want to be careful of, because yes, I'm an INXS fan, but would I listen to that song because of that riff in it? Maybe not. I'd rather hear the original kind of thing. And nothing
right.
against her. I'm sure she's great and everything, but I wouldn't rush out to grab that single because someone had taken a huge riff like that, and maybe even like Kid Rock to a lesser extent, but at least he kept it in the same. He did the riff exactly for his. I've been thinking about the coal mine, or whatever that
All
bum,
summer
bum,
long.
all summer long. Yeah, bum,
Yeah.
bum, 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 yep. So, that kind of stuff. It comes and goes, but the originals, they'll always be there forever. They'll always be there. You
If
have
I
to have
may,
source material.
if I
Yeah,
may, I'm just one person, but if I mean, there's one Michael Hutchins, there's one JD Fortune.
one Ben McCully.
Your version of By My Side is my favorite.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks, man. Yeah, that's another one, man. Love that song. Yeah, thanks, dude. That means a lot coming from you, bro. I know.
It's different enough and growly enough and I think nailed enough that yeah, that's my preferred version. So that's going to be one that people hear at the birthday bash, and they cannot wait to have that authentic INXS experience. But also, I'm sure there's
Yes.
a few surprises. Some you don't have to reveal them, but
Yeah.
confirm or deny some other classic rock tunes.
Well, you said your favorite artist was Eminem, so maybe I'll throw in something from 8 Mile soundtrack.
All right, well, I'll be up on the stage doing the
Right
doing
on.
the doing that. What's it called when this person ends the beat to have the rapper do a breath live, the hype man or whatever. So
Hype man. Hype man, you can come up there. Yeah, yeah. Be great.
end every syllable. The most important question of all, of course, being from Nova Scotia, coming to Barrie, us hanging out, having a party. Any way you can bring me some Pictou County pizza, Sam's or Acapulco.
Dude, I was gonna say I'll bring you some Acapulco and some Keats by friggin' right. Yeah, I can absolutely bring you some pizza. My pleasure, man. I will wrap that up. Boom, boom, boom. I'll freeze dry wrap that, freshly
Cool.
made, and I'll bring that to you. You got it, man.
I'll share a couple bites with some people
You're
just so
missing
they
you're missing the
know.
brown sauce. You're missing the Pictou County sauce.
Yep,
Isn't it
yep.
funny? It's got such a good spice to it. I try to tell people, I'm like, where do you have this? They're like, oh, it doesn't look like tomato sauce. I'm like, because it's not tomato sauce.
Best
Yeah. Oh,
pizza in the
yeah.
world, best pizza in the world, and best entertainers in the world. Something in the water, Pictou County, Nova Scotia. We can't bring
That's
wait to bring that
that's
flavor here.
that's a documentary you and I need to make. We'll call it Something in the Water. We'll just go over all the talented people like yourself that have come from such humble beginnings here in good old Pictou County and have gone on to be internationally known. You blow my mind, dude, with the TMZ stuff. I mean, it's cool to watch you on there. And I'm always like, look at Ben, man. I used to party with this guy. I used to party with this guy.
We're coming full circle, November 8th. JD Fortune Rockin' INXS. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. Can't wait to see you.
I love you, man. You are such a good friend, and thank you for this opportunity. Please say hi to everybody at Rock 95 and to everyone listening. I love you. Come on out, and I'm going to kick your ass. Rock on.